Pickleball Addiction, thanks again for tuning in. So it's been a few days now since the English Open. Well, it's Monday now, and it finished last weekend before that. So yeah, so first of all, apologise that it's taken so long to record this last episode. I did plan to do a diary every single day, but as will become clear in this episode, it was quite difficult to do that. There were very long days, and certain things happened, which I won't to spoil the surprise for later on. But yeah, it just meant things were a little bit more difficult. Trying to fit everything in and enjoy the event wasn't as easy as I thought. Plus, when I got back, the weather turned nice, and we live down by the beach. It's the only part of the summer holidays so far that's been nice. So me and my wife went away with the kids for a couple of days, just off to the beach, and spent a few days on the beach. So it's my first chance to kind of really record what happened in the last couple of days. Would like to just mention up front now, got a few exciting pieces of content coming up. So I'm going to Arizona next week. So I'm visiting Marriott Desert Ridge Resorts. So I'm going there for, it's around 5 days, but it ends up being like quite a few nights away. I'm away like Monday to Sunday. But there's 17 floodlit pickleball courts there. The PPA tournament has run there in the past. So I'm super excited about that. Of course, in Arizona, it is insanely hot at the moment, and you can't play pickleball outside. So it'll be very early mornings, starting at 6 o'clock, to play for a couple of hours before it becomes too hot to play. But I've got a backup plan as well. I'm also going to a place called the Pickleball Backyard, which has 6 air-conditioned courts to play on. So I found out about this from a chap at the English Open, actually. So he was helping run the Franklin stall. A guy called Cedric. He helps run the Pickleball Backyard and comes from Arizona. So he invited me along to come to that when I'm over. So I'm going with my friend, as I might have mentioned before, who's never played any pickleball, has no interest in playing any pickleball, but will be playing pickleball. So I'm just going to see how that goes, and hopefully he'll have the bug by the end of our trip away. Also, I've got some great interviews coming up with some pros and some directors at Pickleball England. I'm planning on the interviews being a big part of this channel going forward. So if you'd like to see those, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss those. I'm planning on doing something every single week, which will hopefully just shed more light on the growth of pickleball in the UK, in Europe, and around the world. So yep, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. You can see I've got 18 subscribers so far, so I've got a little machine there which will tell us how it's growing. My first goal, of course, is to reach triple figures. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we can kind of start reaching more people and spreading the word of pickleball. So let's go back to the event. On day 3 of the event, which would have been on the Saturday, it was Gender Doubles Day. So on that day, I didn't have to start my first match until around 2:50 p.m. I think it was. It was in that region. By the time we turned up, though, the schedule was already behind. I'd realised that I was lucky the day before that I was on so early, and I didn't really have any delays. By the time the afternoon comes around, there are delays, but they'll get caught up again by the end of the day. It was a bit more challenging because these matches were, instead of being half an hour apart, they were an hour apart plus delays. So often you'd play a game, you'd be completely cooled down like an hour and a quarter later, then you have to go and play again your next match. So it was a bit challenging having quite big gaps between the games, but and the afternoon, of course, flew by because by the time we'd finished, it was like 7 p.m. or something. But it was, nonetheless, it was still great and still, amazing that they managed to organise so many people and get through them all each day. So yeah, we had gender doubles today. If you recall, I was just assigned somebody. I had nobody that I was attending the event with from specifically my club, although I didn't find out the day before that a couple of people in a local club were also going, or a few people. So I did meet up and chat with those. But yeah, I got assigned Lee, a don't know if you want to mention me in detail, so I won't use his surname, but Lee, me and him played. We met on the Thursday actually, so we've known each other. We've been speaking and spending a lot of time together for the last couple of days, so, and having a few games together, so that was exciting. So yeah, Lee, I guess what I'll say about Lee is that he's not very confident. He plays great, he plays fine, and but he's just is always a bit down, I would say, and I was picking him up on that throughout the weekend. A bit down on it, what he called was realistic was really him just not being very kind to himself about how he can play. But I think he was great, and he did really well. And we started off really great in the tournament. We started off at 250. Our first game we won 11-1, so that was pretty convincing, and we're very happy with that result, of course. I can't remember the exact details of each of the matches now, but obviously that gave us a bit of confidence. And then we went on to the second match and won that 11-3. So by now we, well, at least I was thinking we were going to win gold. Lee still had some skepticism, but yeah, we then got brought right back down to earth with a 2-11 game. Now, what I do remember out of that game is that we played absolutely terrible. Particularly me, I just missed every third shot drop into the net. I made so many mistakes, and it's totally my fault that we got so few points in that match. It would have been a much more challenging match, I think, for our opponents had we not made so many mistakes. That said, I think, if I recall, and I'll put a graphic up on the screen to confirm this, but I think through the 5 games this team played, they only gave up 7 points. So although I'm saying we made a lot of mistakes, maybe they were forced mistakes, but I don't know. I don't think they were, because we weren't even getting past the third shot quite often. So we really didn't do ourselves any favours there, and that ultimately was probably our downfall, as you'll kind of see later on. But then we went on to the third match again, and we kind of got back again, and we were back and we won 11-5. So we're 3-1 up at this stage. There's only 5 teams in the group. Reasonably confident that we can go through, but we found out that the team we were playing last had won all 4 of their prior games pretty convincingly, and the other team that we lost against had only hadn't lost any as well. Is that right? Something like that, or they'd lost 1. I think that maybe we thought they'd lost 1. So if we won that last one, then we both would have won 4, lost 1, and then it was down to a points difference at that stage. And considering we won our other matches pretty well, we felt quite possible that we could go through, because only the top 2 in each group go through. Turns out later that the team had only won 3 and lost 2 ultimately by the end of the tournament. But cut a long story short, we played really well, I think, in our last game. We were 10-7 up, and we missed out on 6 match points to win the game, and ended up losing it 11-10. So that team did have a clean sweep in the end, 5-0, but we gave them their biggest challenge, and really we should have taken at least 1 of those match points. Right, we had 6 that we could have won the game, and we didn't. And so ultimately, yeah, we lost 11-10. And we went out on points, because we were in third place, second and third place, both won 3 games and lost 2, which is a bit harsh because we won more games than we lost. But of course that's the way it goes. So we went out at the group stages, unfortunately. So still, fantastic experience, great playing doubles with a partner. I was saying to Lee that I felt way more pressure than playing singles the previous day, because when you're playing singles, you've only got yourself to let down. When you're playing doubles, you feel like you've got your partner that you're letting down as well if you miss a shot or you play badly. So I felt way more pressure and way more nervous playing actually doubles than I did singles, even though I'd never played singles before. So again, it was great. A shame we didn't get to go on and play at least another 1 more match, because I think that would have been good. But we played well. We did some had some good games, bad games, good points and bad points. But ultimately, it was brilliant again. Really enjoyed the whole kind of experience of playing with a partner. So that day we finished, like I say, we started at 2:50, but we didn't finish till like 7 o'clock, something along in those regions, maybe 7:30. So it already felt like a long day. I mean, that morning I'd spent a bit more slowly coming into the venue. I think I got there about 11:30 in the morning. I recorded the last video that you'd have already seen on the channel. So it was nice. It was a more quiet day. It ended up, of course, then being quite a long day, not least because Lee's son and his wife were still in their competitions, and we decided to carry on kind of watching them. And if you recall, this family, they have Lee's wife's dad was there, and also his children. So his grandchildren, the children were playing with their granddad over the course of the weekend, which is, I think, just great, because obviously you can't get that in and be competitive in as many sports. And as we know, the Nick is he's the granddad, won 70 plus singles tournament on Friday. Well, now Lee's son and his wife, so one of his sons actually kind of made it through to the knockout stage, and ultimately, cut a long story short, they made it through to gold. And Lee's wife, who also got assigned a random partner, also scored gold in the 3.0 35 plus. So amongst them, as a family, they already had 3 golds that they were working with. So it was actually quite lucky that even though the games were on at the same time, because it was a knockout stage, they managed to not quite overlap too much. So we ended up watching both his son's game, who like I say, they won the 3.0 18 plus. I think both of those kids were those two that were in that team. They were friends. They've been playing. They've been knowing each other for a long time, but I think they were 16, so they weren't even actually 18 yet. But they did a fantastic job to win that. I know that they've particularly Lee's son's friend has not really played much pickleball. He's very, very good at badminton. He's played badminton for 10 years, but I think he's played pickleball like 3 times. But was very, very good. Considering I think his badminton background really stood him well there. So that was great. We ended up watching some good matches there. Also managed to spend some time watching some of the pros. So in the men's 5.0 games, ultimately the champion was the pros, Rob Nunnery and Jack Monroe. They beat Spencer Lania and Richard Livenese Jr. I probably got that name, well, I definitely got that name wrong. But yeah, ultimately they won that. So congratulations to Rob and Jack for winning that. Did manage to catch a little bit of that game amongst the other finals that I was watching. Obviously, like really high standard. That went to 3 sets. So Rob and Jack won 10-12, 11-8, 11-3. I guess the number one, the best kind of British team, they got knocked out in the quarterfinals. That's Louis Leville and Freddie Powell. They got knocked out in 3 sets to Cameron Luthering and Caden Seward. So they ended up going out 3-11, 11-7, 4-11. So none of those matches were particularly close. But that team, Cameron and Caden, ended up getting beaten by Rob and Jack to get to the final as well. And in the women's side of the event, Megan Fudge and Susanna Barr ended up running out champions pretty convincingly, 11-4, 11-6 against Riley Bonhart and Lee Whitwell. Thadia Locke and P. Chuan Cao, I definitely got that second name wrong. They were the British team, and they managed to unfortunately miss out on the bronze medal in the bronze final match against Alison Phillips and Emily Ackerman. They lost 11-2, 11-8 there. But I did manage to watch some of the final there, and Megan and Susanna played like really well. They didn't hardly make any mistakes. They did a fantastic job of just getting the job done in a really professional way. So once that was all done, we managed to go ahead and celebrate at Wagamama's. So we thought the family invited me over to Wagamama's for their celebration of their gold medals and some food, which was pretty late by then. It must have been like 10 o'clock or 9:45. I think we got kicked out, and that was great. Except I came back to my car afterwards at around midnight, I think, maybe 1:45, and my car was locked in the car park of the venue, which was a shock. I did not expect that. I had no idea that the car parks were locked, and it took me a little while to get out. So I ended up walking round to the hotel, which was attached to the venue. They told me to go to the Holiday Inn. I went to the Holiday Inn. They all told me that the gates will be open again at 7 o'clock in the morning. Of course, my bag was in my car with my keys to my Airbnb also in the car. Now I could get through by climbing over a gate, which they recommended if I wanted to go and get some stuff from the car, which I could have done, and got a Uber or something like that back to the Airbnb. But it was a real hassle because I'd have to do that again tomorrow morning, which I had a 9 o'clock start. But I managed to persuade somebody to find somebody with some keys to get me out. So I did manage to get back to 1 o'clock in the morning that day after all the messing about with the car park and the gates. But ultimately did get home, didn't have time to record a diary, as this is why I'm doing it now, and ended up going to sleep and getting up nice and early to be at the event again to the venue again for 8 a.m. to register again. You have to register each day before my event at 9 o'clock in the mixed doubles. So that was my day 3. Another excellent day. Again, I can't recommend it enough if it's not something that you've done. I've no idea how the Nationals compare to this. This is something I'm planning on asking the people I'm interviewing over the next few weeks. The Nationals are coming up in Bolton in last week in October. Definitely want to attend that. I guess it's in some way different to the Open. I'm guessing it's not going to be quite as big, but if you get a chance to do that, I would definitely recommend it as well. Hopefully they'll have similarly good courts and that as well at that event. Registration, as far as I know, hasn't opened for that yet, but I'm guessing that's going to happen sooner rather than later as well. So that's it for day 3. I think I'll wrap it up there, and I will shortly record a episode for day 4 as well. Okay, thank you very much for tuning in.